They say you never really know someone until you see them at their worst. What they don't tell you is that sometimes your worst brings out their worst, and suddenly you're both strangers living in the same house, pretending everything's fine while the foundation crumbles beneath your feet. Before we dive deeper into this story, I have one small request. Please subscribe, drop a like, comment, and hit that hype button to boost this channel so more people can discover these incredible Reddit stories. My name is Nathan Foster, and I'm about to tell you how I discovered my wife was cheating, lost all my friends, and then systematically destroyed 2 lives in 7 days. Not with murder or anything illegal, just good old-fashioned public humiliation and the kind of creative revenge that would make Machiavelli proud. It started on a Tuesday morning in October. Clara was standing at the kitchen counter, scrolling through her phone with that little smile she used to save for me. Now it seemed reserved for whatever was on that screen. "Morning, sunshine," I said, pouring coffee into my favorite mug, the one Ellie made me in art class that said, "World's okayest dad." Clara didn't look up. Sleep well?" "Fine." I waited for her to ask about my day, my work, anything. Instead, she grabbed her purse and headed for the door. "Have a great day at the office, honey," I called after her. "Whatever, Nathan." The door slammed, and I stood there holding my coffee, wondering when exactly my wife had started treating me like an annoying roommate she was stuck with until the lease ran out. My daughter Ellie shuffled into the kitchen, her dark hair a mess, and her expression already skeptical at 14. She'd inherited my sarcasm and her mother's sharp tongue, a dangerous combination. "Mom's in a mood again," she observed, grabbing a Pop-Tart from the box. "Your mother's just stressed about work." Ellie rolled her eyes. "Dad, she's been stressed about work for like 3 months. Either her job is the worst thing ever, or something else is going on." Kids see everything. I should have listened to her then. I work in IT for a mid-sized company downtown. Nothing glamorous, but it pays the bills and keeps me busy fixing other people's technology disasters. Clara works in HR for a tech startup called Innovate Now, one of those companies that thinks ping pong tables and kombucha on tap make up for terrible management. That afternoon, I was debugging a server issue when my phone buzzed with a text from Clara. "Working late tonight. Don't wait up." The 3rd time that week. I got home to find Ellie doing homework at the kitchen table. "Mom still at work?" she asked without looking up. "Yep." Weird. Her car was at the grocery store when the bus dropped me off, but she hates grocery shopping. I felt something cold settle in my stomach. Maybe she had a meeting nearby. Maybe. Ellie's tone suggested she wasn't buying it any more than I was. That night, I lay in bed staring at the ceiling while Clara slept beside me. When had we stopped talking? When had she stopped laughing at my jokes or telling me about her day? When had I become invisible in my own marriage? Thursday brought the first real evidence. I was doing laundry, because apparently I was the only one who remembered we needed clean clothes, when I found a receipt in Clara's jeans pocket. Serenity Spa and Resort, 2 nights, premium suite, $350. Clara had never mentioned a spa weekend. Clara hated spas, said they were overpriced and pretentious. I found her in the living room, laptop open, typing furiously. "Hey, babe, how was your day?" She barely glanced up. "Busy." "Mine too. Fixed 3 servers and prevented a minor apocalypse. Very heroic stuff." I waited for her to smile. She didn't. "So, I found this receipt for a spa weekend. Looks fun. When did you go?" Her fingers stopped moving on the keyboard. "What receipt?" I held it up. "Serenity Spa, premium suite. Looks expensive." "Oh, that." She waved a hand dismissively. "Work retreat thing. Team building. Completely boring." "You didn't mention it?" "Because it was boring, Nathan. God, do I need to report every detail of my day to you now?" The sharpness in her voice caught me off guard. "I was just asking." "Well, don't. I'm trying to work." I went back to the laundry, but my mind was racing. Clara was many things, but she'd never been cruel. Distant lately, sure, but not cruel. Friday evening, I was in my garage workshop, my sanctuary where I fixed things that could actually be fixed, when I heard Clara on the phone in the backyard. Her voice was different, softer, warmer. I know. It's complicated. No, he doesn't suspect anything. You're sweet. I can't wait either." My hand stilled on the carburetor I was rebuilding. Clara was laughing now, that genuine laugh I hadn't heard in months. "Next week will be perfect. 7 days, just us. I've already told him it's a mental health retreat. He bought it completely." Mental health retreat. The words hit me like a physical blow. I set down my tools and walked to the window. Clara was pacing by her flower garden, phone pressed to her ear, smiling in a way that made my chest tight. "I have to go. Love you too. Love you too. I stood in my garage surrounded by broken things I could fix and realized my marriage wasn't one of them. Saturday morning, Clara announced her plan over breakfast. I'm taking a mental health retreat next week, 7 days at a wellness center upstate. Complete digital detox. No phones, no contact. That's sudden, I said carefully. I've been thinking about it for weeks. Work stress, you know? I need to reset. Ellie looked up from her cereal. What kind of wellness center doesn't allow phones? What if there's an emergency? They have a main number for real emergencies, Clara said. But the whole point is to disconnect. Sounds expensive, I said. Clara's jaw tightened. Since when do you question how I spend money? I don't. I'm just what, Nathan? Just trying to control where I go and what I do? The kitchen fell silent. Ellie looked between us like she was watching a tennis match. I'm not trying to control anything, I said quietly. I'm trying to understand why my wife suddenly needs to disappear for a week without any way to contact her. Because I need space, Clara's voice cracked. From this house, from work, from everything. From me. She didn't say it, but we all heard it. That afternoon, my old friend Frank came by to help me install new shelving in the garage. Frank's an ex-cop, built like a linebacker, with the kind of street smarts that come from 20 years of dealing with liars and criminals. You look like hell, he said, handing me a beer. Thanks. Really know how to make a guy feel better. Clara still acting weird? I told him about the spa receipt, the phone call, the mysterious retreat. Frank listened without interrupting, his cop face giving nothing away. Nate, he said finally, you know what this sounds like, right? Yeah. I took a long pull of beer. I know. What are you going to do about it? I don't know yet. Frank studied me for a moment. Whatever you decide, you call me. Don't do anything stupid, but don't let her play you either. Women like Clara, they eat nice guys like you for breakfast. Sunday night, Clara packed for her retreat. I watched from the doorway as she folded clothes into her suitcase. Sexy underwear I hadn't seen in months. The red dress she wore on our anniversary. Perfume she only used for special occasions. A lot of nice clothes for a wellness retreat, I observed. She didn't look at me. I want to feel good about myself. You always look beautiful. Now she did look at me, and for a moment I saw something that might have been guilt flash across her face. Nathan, What? She shook her head. Nothing. I should get some sleep. Early flight tomorrow. I lay awake that night, listening to Clara breathe beside me, wondering if this was the last time we'd share a bed as husband and wife, wondering if we'd been sharing it as strangers for months already. Monday morning, Clara kissed me goodbye at the door, a quick peck, like you'd give a brother. 7 days, she said. I'll be back next Monday. I love you, I said. She paused with her hand on the doorknob. I know. Not, I love you too. Just, I know. I watched her drive away and felt something fundamental shift inside me. The nice guy Frank had warned about was about to take a vacation. It was time to find out exactly what my wife was up to, and then decide what I was going to do about it. Clara's first mistake was leaving her tablet behind. Her second mistake was using the same password for everything, our daughter's name and birthday. Her third mistake was underestimating exactly how good I am with technology. Monday afternoon, after staring at the tablet on her nightstand for 6 hours, I finally picked it up. My hands were shaking as I entered the password. Part of me hoped it wouldn't work, that I'd be locked out and could go back to pretending everything was fine. It worked. Clara's message history opened like Pandora's box, and what spilled out destroyed 12 years of marriage in about 12 seconds. The contact was listed as C with a heart emoji. Real subtle, Clara. The messages went back 3 months. 3 months of, I can't stop thinking about you, and when can we be alone, and my husband is so clueless. But it was the photos that really got me. Pictures Clara had never taken for me, messages describing things she'd never done with me, plans for romantic getaways while I was home fixing the garbage disposal and helping our daughter with algebra. The most recent exchange made me freeze. See? Can't wait for our week together. Beautiful. Booked the cabin upstate. Clara. Perfect. I told Nathan it's a mental health retreat. He totally bought it. See? Poor bastard. Does he really have no idea? Clara. Nathan's sweet, but he's not exactly observant. He still thinks I'm the woman he married. See? His loss, my gain. See you at the airport tomorrow. Love you. Clara. Love you too. Can't wait to be free. Free. Like I was a prison sentence she was serving. I scrolled through more messages. each one a knife twist. They'd been planning this for weeks. The spa receipt? That was their first weekend together. The late nights at work, meeting at his apartment, the phone calls in the backyard, coordinating their lies. But who was C? The number wasn't in my phone, and Clara had been careful not to use a name. I needed more information, and I knew exactly where to get it. Innovate Now's employee directory was on their website. I cross-referenced the phone number from Clara's messages with the company contact list. It took me about 10 minutes to find him. Christopher Langley, Senior Marketing Manager. 41 years old, Harvard MBA, married to Jennifer Langley, real estate agent extraordinaire. Married. I stared at his LinkedIn profile photo. Handsome in that generic corporate way, with perfect teeth and hair that probably required more product than my wife used. This was the man my wife was throwing our marriage away for. This was the man she loved. I spent the next hour researching Christopher Langley. Social media profiles, professional history, even his wife's real estate website. Jennifer Langley was stunning. Blonde, successful, with a kind of sharp smile that suggested she didn't suffer fools gladly. She had no idea her husband was currently playing house with my wife in some romantic cabin upstate. That gave me an idea. A terrible, brilliant idea. I created a new email account and sent Jennifer Langley a simple message. Mrs. Langley, we've never met, but we need to talk. Your husband is having an affair with my wife. They're together right now. If you want proof, I have plenty. We should meet. Nathan Foster. I included my phone number and hit send before I could lose my nerve. She called 20 minutes later. Is this Nathan Foster? The voice was crisp, professional, with an edge that could cut glass. Yes. Jennifer Langley, your email better not be some kind of sick joke? I wish it were. There was a long pause. How long have you known? I just found out today. You? I suspected something was off, but God, I feel so stupid. Join the club. Population, us. Another pause, then. You said you have proof. Screenshots, messages, photos, hotel receipts. Enough to bury them both. I want to see everything. Can you meet me tonight? We arranged to meet at a coffee shop downtown. I spent the afternoon printing screenshots and organizing evidence, feeling like a detective building a case, which, I suppose, I was. Jennifer Langley was even more intimidating in person than in her photos. She walked into the coffee shop like she owned it, spotted me immediately, and slid into the booth across from me with the precision of a guided missile. Show me, she said without preamble. I slid the folder across the table. She opened it, and I watched her face go through several expressions: shock, hurt, anger, and finally cold fury. That bastard, she whispered, staring at a particularly intimate message. That lying, cheating bastard. I'm sorry, I said. I know this is hard. She looked up at me, and I saw steel in her eyes. How long have you been married? 12 years. You? 8. No kids, thank God. She flipped through more screenshots. Your wife certainly has a lot to say about you. I'd read those parts too. Clara's complaints about my lack of ambition, my boring hobbies, my predictable nature, how Christopher made her feel alive in ways I never could. She's not wrong about everything, I said. I am pretty boring. Jennifer studied me for a moment. You seem like a decent guy, Nathan. Too decent for this kind of treatment. So do you. Seem decent, I mean. She laughed, but there was no humor in it. Decent doesn't keep your husband from screwing around, apparently. We sat in silence for a moment, two strangers united by betrayal. So what do we do now? I asked. Jennifer's smile was sharp enough to perform surgery. Now? Now we make them pay? Over the next hour, Jennifer outlined a plan that was both brilliant and terrifying. She'd been suspicious for weeks, had already consulted a divorce attorney, and had access to Christopher's financial records. More importantly, she knew where he was vulnerable. Christopher's up for a promotion, she explained. Senior vice president. His boss is old-school conservative, family values type. An affair with a married coworker would destroy his chances. And Clara just started at Innovate Now 6 months ago. She's still in her probationary period. Perfect. We can ruin them both professionally and personally. I don't want to destroy Clara, I said. She's still Ellie's mother. Jennifer's expression softened slightly. How old is your daughter? 14. Old enough to understand that actions have consequences. Nathan, your wife isn't just cheating on you. She's planning to leave you. I saw those messages about divorce attorneys and custody arrangements. What? Jennifer pulled out her phone and showed me screenshots I'd missed. Messages about Clara meeting with a lawyer, discussions about taking Ellie, Plans to claim I was emotionally abusive to get better terms in the divorce. She's been planning this for months, Jennifer said quietly. The affair is just part of it. She wants out, and she wants to take everything with her. I stared at the messages, feeling something dark and angry unfurl in my chest. Clara wasn't just cheating. She was preparing to destroy me and take my daughter. What did you have in mind? I asked. Jennifer's smile was predatory. First, we gather more evidence. Then, we wait for them to come back. And then, she leaned forward. Then we give them a welcome home party they'll never forget. We spent another hour planning. Jennifer would monitor Christopher's credit cards and social media. I would track Clara's location and communications. When they returned, we'd be ready. As we prepared to leave, Jennifer touched my arm. Nathan, your wife is an idiot. Christopher, too. They have no idea what they've started. What do you mean? Her smile was cold and beautiful. They picked the wrong spouses to screw over. I don't lose, Nathan. Ever. And something tells me you're not as boring as your wife thinks. She was right about that. The boring, predictable Nathan Foster was about to disappear. In his place was someone harder, smarter, and a lot less forgiving. Clara and Christopher thought they were so clever, sneaking around behind our backs, planning their perfect little escape. They had no idea that their victims were about to become their worst nightmare. I drove home that night feeling something I hadn't felt in months. Purpose. For the first time since this nightmare started, I wasn't the victim, I was the hunter, and the prey had no idea what was coming for them. Tuesday through Sunday crawled by like a slow-motion car crash. Every day brought new evidence of Clara and Christopher's deception, and every piece of evidence made me angrier and more determined to make them pay. Jennifer and I had become unlikely allies, meeting daily to share intelligence and refine our plan. She was ruthlessly efficient, tracking Christopher's credit card purchases, romantic dinners, expensive wine, a jewelry store charge that made my stomach clench. He bought her a necklace, Jennifer reported over coffee Wednesday morning. $3,000. Guess who's paying for it? His wife? I asked. His wife. Her smile was arctic, but not for much longer. I'd been monitoring Clara's location through the family tracking app she'd forgotten to disable. They weren't at any wellness retreat upstate. They were at a luxury resort in the Pocono Mountains, the kind of place that advertised romantic getaways and had heart-shaped hot tubs in every room. The photos on the resort's website made me sick. This was where my wife was playing house with another woman's husband, spending money we'd saved for Ellie's college fund on champagne and room service. Meanwhile, I was home helping Ellie with homework and pretending everything was normal. Dad, you've been weird all week, Ellie observed Thursday night over dinner. Are you and Mom fighting? Why would you think that? Because you keep checking your phone like you're expecting bad news, and you made my favorite dinner 3 nights in a row. You only do that when you feel guilty about something. Smart kid. Too smart. Mom and I are working through some things, I said carefully. Is she really at a wellness retreat? I met my daughter's eyes and saw Clara looking back at me. The same intelligence, the same ability to see through bullshit. What do you think? I asked. Ellie considered this. I think Mom's been lying about a lot of things lately, and I think you know it. What makes you say that? She's been different for months, Dad. Happier, but not about us. About something else. Someone else. Jesus, if a 14-year-old could see it, how had I been so blind? I'm sorry, sweetheart. For what? For not protecting you from this? Ellie reached across the table and squeezed my hand. Dad, I'm not a little kid anymore. I know when adults are lying. The question is, what are you going to do about it? What indeed? Friday brought the most damaging evidence yet. Christopher had posted photos on his private Instagram account. Him and Clara at a waterfall, sharing a bottle of wine, her wearing the necklace he'd bought. In one photo, she was kissing his cheek, her left hand clearly visible. No wedding ring. She'd taken off her wedding ring for their romantic week together. I showed the photos to Jennifer that evening. We were in her home office, a pristine space that looked like something from a magazine. Everything about Jennifer's life seemed perfect and controlled, which made her husband's betrayal even more insulting. Look at her face, Jennifer said, studying the photos. She's glowing. When's the last time she looked at you like that? I couldn't remember. Maybe never. Christopher looked smug, I observed. Like he won something. He thinks he did. They both do. Jennifer leaned back in her chair. They think they're so clever, sneaking around, planning their new life together. But they made one crucial mistake. What's that? They underestimated us. Sunday night, I barely slept. Clara was due home Monday evening, and Jennifer and I had spent the week preparing for her return. We had evidence, we had a plan, and we had something more dangerous than either. We had nothing left to lose. Monday dragged by like a death march. I went through the motions at work, fixed a few servers, answered some emails, but my mind was elsewhere. At 3 o'clock, I got a text from Clara. Landing at 6, home by 7. Can't wait to see you and Ellie. The casual lie of it made my teeth clench. She'd been gone a week screwing another man, and she was texting me like she'd been at a book club meeting. I texted Jennifer. She lands at 6. Perfect. I'll be there at 7:30. Is Ellie going to be home? She's staying at her friend Maya's house tonight. I told her I needed to have a serious conversation with her mother. Good. This is going to get ugly. At 7:15, I heard Clara's car in the driveway. I was sitting in the living room, hands folded, waiting. Jennifer was parked around the corner, ready to make her entrance. The front door opened, and Clara walked in dragging her suitcase. She looked incredible, tanned, relaxed, glowing with the kind of satisfaction that comes from a week of great sex and zero responsibilities. Nathan, I'm home. In here, I called. She appeared in the doorway, smiling that bright, fake smile I'd learned to hate. God, it's good to be home. I feel so much better. The retreat was exactly what I needed. I'm sure it was. Something in my tone made her pause. Is everything okay? You seem tense. Do I? Funny, I've been feeling pretty relaxed myself. Clara set down her purse and studied my face. Nathan, what's wrong? How was the wellness center? It was good. Very peaceful. Lots of meditation and yoga. Yoga? Right. I nodded thoughtfully. Did you meet anyone interesting? Not really. It was mostly solo work, you know? Self-reflection. Self-reflection at the Pocono Paradise Resort. The color drained from Clara's face. What? That's where you were, right? The Pocono Paradise Resort, with Christopher Langley. Clara's mouth opened and closed like a fish out of water. I don't know what you're talking about. Really? Because I have photos of you there. I have your text messages. I have hotel receipts and credit card statements and a very detailed record of exactly how you spent our daughter's college fund on your romantic getaway. Clara sank into the chair across from me, her face white. Nathan, I can explain. Can you? Because I'd love to hear this explanation. The doorbell rang. Clara's head snapped toward the sound. Who's that? Why don't we find out? I walked to the front door and opened it. Jennifer stood on my porch, dressed in a sharp black suit, holding a manila folder, looking like an avenging angel. Good evening, Nathan. Is your wife home? I'd like to meet her. Come on in. Clara, I'd like you to meet Jennifer Langley, Christopher's wife. If Clara had been pale before, she was transparent now. Jennifer walked into the living room like she owned it, set her folder on the coffee table, and smiled at my wife with the warmth of a glacier. Clara, isn't it? I've heard so much about you, seen so much of you, actually. Jennifer opened her folder and pulled out an 8x10 photo, one of the intimate pictures Clara had sent to Christopher. This is a lovely shot, very artistic. Clara made a sound like a wounded animal. Oh, God. God had nothing to do with it, Jennifer said crisply. This was all you and my husband? Speaking of whom, where is Christopher right now? I don't... He's at home, I said, probably wondering why his wife isn't there to greet him. Jennifer checked her watch. Actually, he's probably wondering why the locks have been changed and his belongings are on the front lawn. Clara's eyes went wide. You didn't. Oh, I did. Along with copies of all his text messages to you, printed out and taped to the boxes. The neighbors are getting quite an education. Hasta, I had to admire Jennifer's style. She was destroying Christopher with surgical precision while maintaining perfect composure. Now then, Jennifer continued, settling into a chair like she was hosting a dinner party, I think we need to have a conversation about the future. Nathan, would you like to start, or shall I? Before I could answer, headlights swept across the living room window. A car door slammed, and footsteps pounded up the front walk. The door burst open without a knock, and Christopher Langley stormed into my house like he owned it. Clara, what the hell is going on? Jennifer changed the locks and... He stopped when he saw all of us sitting in the living room. What is this? This, I said, standing up slowly, is a reckoning. Christopher looked between me and Jennifer, his face cycling through confusion, fear, and finally, anger. You can't just break into someone's house and... Actually, I interrupted, this is my house. You're the one who broke in. Technically, that's a crime. Nathan, please, Clara said, finding her voice. Can we discuss this privately? Privately, Jennifer laughed. Like you and Christopher discussed your affair privately? Like you privately planned to destroy Nathan's life and take his daughter? Take Ellie? Christopher looked confused. What are you talking about? I pulled out my phone and read from Clara's messages. The lawyer says if I can prove emotional abuse, I can get full custody and the house. Nathan's so passive, it shouldn't be hard to provoke him into doing something stupid. The silence that followed was deafening. Christopher stared at Clara. You were going to frame him? It's not like that, Clara said desperately. I just wanted to make sure Ellie would be taken care of. By lying about abuse? I asked. By destroying my relationship with my daughter? You don't understand the pressure I've been under. Pressure? Jennifer stood up, and suddenly the room felt smaller. You want to talk about pressure? Try finding out your husband of 8 years has been screwing around with a married coworker. Try having your neighbors watch you throw his belongings on the lawn because he's too much of a coward to face you. Christopher finally seemed to grasp the situation. Jennifer, honey, we can work this out. Don't. Jennifer's voice could have frozen fire. Don't you dare call me honey. Don't you dare pretend this is something we can work out. You spent $3,000 of my money on jewelry for your whore. She's not a whore, Christopher said, which was possibly the stupidest thing he could have said. I was across the room before I realized I was moving. Christopher saw me coming and tried to step back, but he was too slow and I was too angry. The slap echoed through the house like a gunshot. Christopher staggered, his hand flying to his cheek, staring at me in shock. You hit me. You're lucky that's all I did. My voice didn't sound like my own. You came into my house, screwed my wife, spent my daughter's college money, and then had the balls to defend it. Yeah, I hit you. Want to try for two? Christopher looked at Clara, then at Jennifer, then back at me. Whatever he saw in our faces made him take another step backward. This is insane, he said. Clara, we're leaving. No, Clara said quietly. We're not. What? Clara was staring at her hands, tears streaming down her face. I can't do this anymore, Chris. I can't keep lying. You're just upset. Once we get out of here... There is no we, Clara said, looking up at him. Don't you see? It's over. All of it. Our marriage, your marriage, our jobs. It's all over. Christopher's face went white as he finally understood the scope of what they'd lost. Jennifer smiled that cold, beautiful smile. Oh, Christopher, you haven't even heard the best part yet. She pulled out her phone and showed him the screen. I sent copies of all your messages to your boss this afternoon, and to HR, and to the company newsletter editor. You're famous, darling. Everyone at Innovate Now knows exactly what kind of man you are. The room fell silent except for Clara's quiet sobbing. I looked at my wife, really looked at her, and felt something die in my chest. This woman I'd loved for 12 years, who'd given me the best thing in my life, had been planning to destroy me for months, had been laughing about it with her lover. Get out, I said quietly. Nathan, please, Clara started. Get out of my house, both of you, now. Christopher was already heading for the door. Clara stood slowly, her legs shaking. What about Ellie? She asked. What about her? She's my daughter, too. Then you should have thought about that before you decided to blow up her family. Clara picked up her purse with trembling hands. At the door, she turned back. I did love you, Nathan, once. I know, I said. That's what makes this so much worse. After they left, Jennifer and I sat in my living room, surrounded by the wreckage of 2 marriages. Well, she said finally, that went better than expected. Did it? Christopher didn't try to hit you back, and your wife didn't throw anything. I call that a win. I laughed, surprising myself. Is it wrong that I feel better than I have in months? Not wrong at all. You've been carrying their lies around for God knows how long. Now the truth is out. What happens now? Jennifer stood and gathered her papers. Now we make sure they never forget the consequences of screwing with the wrong people. She headed for the door, then paused. Nathan, this isn't over. They'll try to fight back, try to make us look like the bad guys. Are you ready for that? I thought about Ellie, about the college fund Clara had spent on her affair, about the months of lies and manipulation, about the woman I'd loved turning into a stranger who wanted to destroy me. Yeah, I said, I'm ready. Jennifer smiled, and for the first time, it wasn't cold. Good, because tomorrow we really go to war. Tuesday morning brought the first casualty report. Jennifer called me at 7 a.m., and I could hear the satisfaction in her voice. Christopher's been suspended pending investigation, she reported. Apparently his boss wasn't thrilled about the affair photos I sent. What about Clara? HR called her in for a meeting this afternoon. Something about inappropriate workplace relationships and moral turpitude clauses. I was making coffee, trying to process how quickly our plan was working. Moral turpitude? It's a fancy way of saying, don't screw your coworkers. Most companies have policies about it, especially during probationary periods. Ellie wandered into the kitchen, backpack slung over her shoulder, looking like she hadn't slept much. Dad, Maya's mom said she can drive me to school, but I wanted to check on you first. I'm fine, sweetheart. She studied my face with those two perceptive eyes. Mom didn't come home last night. No, she didn't. Is she coming back? I set down my coffee mug and really looked at my daughter. She was trying to seem casual, but I could see the fear underneath. Her world was falling apart, and she was trying to hold it together for both of us. I don't know, I said honestly. Would you be okay if she didn't? Ellie considered this with the seriousness of someone twice her age. Dad, I love Mom, but she's been making you miserable for months, and she's been lying to both of us. How much do you know? Enough. She shouldered her backpack. Whatever you're planning to do about it, just don't let her hurt you anymore, okay? After Ellie left, I sat in my kitchen and marveled at how a 14-year-old had more emotional intelligence than her mother. My phone buzzed with a text from an unknown number. We need to talk. Clara. I showed it to Jennifer when she came by an hour later. She's panicking, Jennifer observed. Good. Panic makes people stupid. What's the next move? Jennifer spread photos across my kitchen table like she was planning a military campaign. Social media. Clara and Christopher have been very active online, posting about their perfect lives, their successful careers, their happy marriages. Time to update their status. She'd created fake social media accounts and gathered screenshots of every public post Clara and Christopher had made about family values, work ethics, and marital happiness. The contrast with their affair messages was devastating. We're going to destroy their reputations, I realized. We're going to let them destroy their own reputations? We're just providing context. The doorbell rang. I looked through the peephole and saw Clara standing on my porch, looking like she'd slept in her car. She looks terrible, I reported to Jennifer. Perfect. Let her in, but keep recording. Jennifer handed me her phone with the video app open. I want everything documented. I opened the door. Clara looked like a different person than the glowing woman who'd returned from her affair vacation. Her hair was unwashed, her makeup smeared, her clothes wrinkled. Nathan, please, we have to talk. Talk. Can I come in? No. Clara's face crumpled. I know you're angry, but Ellie needs both her parents. We have to figure out how to make this work. Make what work? Our marriage, because that's over. I know I made mistakes. Mistakes? I stepped onto the porch, letting the door close behind me. Clara, you didn't make mistakes. You made choices. For months, you chose to lie to me. You chose to screw another man. You chose to plan my destruction. Those weren't mistakes. They were decisions. I was confused, unhappy. I felt trapped. So you decided to trap me instead? Frame me for abuse? Take my daughter away? Clara's mouth opened and closed. How did you know about your plan? Because I'm not as stupid as you thought I was. Nathan, I never wanted to hurt you. But you did hurt me. You destroyed our marriage, spent our daughter's college fund, and planned to ruin my life. The fact that you didn't want to do it doesn't make it better. It makes it worse. Clara started crying. Those big dramatic tears that used to make me want to comfort her. Now they just made me angry. What do you want from me? She sobbed. I want you to leave. I want you to stay away from Ellie until you figure out how to be honest with her. And I want you to live with the consequences of what you've done. Chris left me, she said suddenly. Last night, after we left here, he said it was too complicated, that he couldn't handle the drama. I felt a moment of satisfaction, then something that might have been pity. I'm sorry. Are you? Really? I'm sorry that you threw away 12 years of marriage for a man who abandoned you the moment things got difficult. I'm sorry that you're going to have to explain to our daughter why Mommy decided to blow up the family. And I'm sorry that you're about to find out what it's like to lose everything. Clara's face went white. What do you mean? I pulled out my phone and showed her the screenshot Jennifer had sent me, Clara's company profile being updated to former employee. You've been fired, I said, effective immediately. Clara stared at the screen, then at me. You did this, you and that bitch Jennifer. We didn't do anything except tell the truth. Your company fired you because you violated their policies. Jennifer's husband was suspended for the same reason. Actions have consequences, Clara. You're just meeting yours. I'll fight this. I'll sue them. Sue you. With what money? You spent our savings on your affair, remember? The fight went out of Clara like air from a punctured balloon. She sagged against the porch railing, looking lost and broken. What am I supposed to do now? I don't know. That's not my problem anymore. I went back inside, leaving Clara on the porch. Through the window, I watched her sit in her car for 20 minutes before driving away. How do you feel? Jennifer asked. Like I just kicked a wounded animal. Good. That means you're not a sociopath. But don't let guilt make you stupid. She would have destroyed you without a second thought. Jennifer was right, but it didn't make me feel better about watching my wife, ex-wife, fall apart. The rest of the week brought a cascade of consequences. Christopher's suspension became a termination when the company decided they couldn't afford the liability of keeping him. Clara's firing made the local business news when a reporter picked up on the story of 2 employees from the same company being terminated for an affair. Our mutual friends started taking sides. Most of them chose Clara, which shouldn't have surprised me, but somehow did. Monica, Clara's best friend, called me Thursday night. Nathan, I can't believe you're being so vindictive, she said without preamble. Clara made a mistake, but destroying her career? That's just cruel. I didn't destroy anything, Monica. Clara did that herself. By having an affair? Men do that all the time, and nobody ruins their lives over it. Men who have affairs don't usually plan to frame their wives for abuse to get custody of their children. Silence. She wouldn't do that, Monica said finally, but she sounded less certain. Ask her. Ask her about the lawyer she consulted, about her plan to provoke me into doing something that would make me look abusive. Ask her about the messages she sent to Christopher laughing about how clueless I was. More silence. Even if that's true, Monica said, 2 wrongs don't make a right. You're right, they don't. But sometimes one right makes up for a lot of wrongs. Monica hung up on me. Friday brought the piece de resistance of our revenge campaign. Jennifer had been busy all week, and her efforts paid off in spectacular fashion. Remember how Christopher posted all those family values messages on social media? She asked, showing me her laptop screen. Well, now everyone can see exactly how much those values meant to him. She'd created a website called ChristopherLangleyTruth.com that displayed his public posts about marriage and fidelity alongside screenshots of his messages to Clara. The contrast was devastating, but the real masterpiece was what she'd done with Clara's social media presence. Every post Clara had made about being a devoted wife and mother now had comments from anonymous accounts posting her affair messages. This is nuclear, I said, scrolling through the destruction. They wanted to play games, Jennifer replied. I'm just better at games than they are. That evening, I was in my garage when Frank stopped by with a 6-pack of beer. Heard you've been having some excitement, he said, settling into the lawn chair I kept for his visits. You could say that. Also heard you've been making some enemies. I looked up from the engine I was rebuilding. What do you mean? Got a call from a buddy of mine still on the force. Says Christopher Langley filed a complaint about harassment. Claims you and his wife are stalking him. Are we? Frank grinned. That's what I like about you, Nate. You don't even pretend to be innocent anymore. He screwed my wife and spent my daughter's college money. If that's not worth a little harassment, what is? I'm not judging, just warning you to be careful. Desperate people do stupid things. Like having affairs and planning to frame their husbands for abuse. Like trying to get revenge when their revenge backfires. Frank was right to be concerned. Clara and Christopher were about to get desperate, and desperate people were dangerous. I just didn't know how dangerous yet. Saturday morning brought the first sign that Clara and Christopher were done playing defense. I woke up to find my car windows covered in spray paint, the word liar in red letters across the windshield. Classy, Jennifer observed when she arrived to survey the damage. Very mature. Think it was both of them? Christopher's too much of a coward for vandalism. This has Clara written all over it. She was right. Clara had always been the more aggressive one in our marriage, the one who confronted difficult situations head on. Christopher struck me as someone who preferred manipulation to direct confrontation. I called the police to file a report, more for documentation than any hope of justice. Officer Martinez took photos and notes, but we all knew nothing would come of it. Any idea who might have done this? He asked. My wife, ex-wife. We're going through a messy divorce. She been violent before? No, but she's been under a lot of stress lately. Lost her job, ended a relationship. People do stupid things when they're desperate. Officer Martinez nodded like he'd heard this story 1,000 times. I'll file the report, but unless you have witnesses or video evidence, I understand. After he left, Jennifer and I stood in my driveway looking at my vandalized car. "This changes things," she said. "How so?" "They're escalating." "Which means we need to escalate too?" "What did you have in mind?" Jennifer's smile was predatory. "Remember how I mentioned Christopher's up for that promotion? Well, his replacement interview is Monday morning. I think his potential new boss should meet some of his former colleagues." "Meaning?" "Meaning I've been in touch with 3 women from Christopher's last job. Turns out our boy has a pattern of inappropriate workplace relationships." This was news to me. "He's done this before?" "Twice that I know of. Both times with married subordinates. Both times the women ended up leaving their jobs to avoid the drama." I felt sick. Clara's not the first. Clara's just the latest. And if we don't stop him, she won't be the last. That afternoon, while Jennifer worked her magic with Christopher's professional contacts, I focused on the more immediate problem of my daughter. Ellie had been staying at friends' houses all week, avoiding the chaos at home, but she couldn't hide forever. She came home Saturday evening, dropped her overnight bag by the door, and surveyed the spray-painted car in the driveway. "Mom?" she asked. "Probably." Ellie nodded like this was exactly what she'd expected. "Dad, I need to tell you something." "What?" "Mom called me. She wants me to stay with her at Aunt Linda's house." Linda was Clara's sister, a woman who'd never liked me and made no effort to hide it. The idea of Ellie staying there made my stomach clench. "What did you tell her?" "That I needed to think about it." Ellie sat down at the kitchen table, looking older than her 14 years. "Dad, I know what Mom did. I know about the affair, about her trying to frame you. Maya's older sister works at Innovate Now. The whole company knows." I sat down across from her, trying to figure out how to handle this conversation. "I'm sorry you had to find out that way." "I'm not. At least now I know why you've been so sad all the time." "I haven't been sad." Ellie gave me a look that was pure Clara, skeptical and slightly pitying. "Dad, you've been miserable for months. I just didn't know why. What do you want to do about your mother?" "I want to stay here, with you, but I'm worried about what she'll do if I tell her that." "What do you mean?" Ellie hesitated, then pulled out her phone. "She's been sending me messages. Lots of them." She showed me the screen, dozens of texts from Clara, starting with apologies and escalating to increasingly desperate pleas for Ellie to choose sides. The most recent message made my blood boil. "Your father is trying to turn you against me. He's lying about what happened. I'm your mother. Doesn't that mean anything to you?" "She's trying to manipulate you," I said. "I know. But Dad, what if she tries to take me anyway? What if she shows up at school or something?" It was a valid concern. Clara was desperate, unemployed, and apparently willing to vandalize property. Kidnapping wasn't that much of a leap. I called Frank. "I need a favor," I said when he answered. "What kind of favor?" "The kind that involves watching my daughter's school and making sure my ex-wife doesn't try anything stupid." "You think she'd try to take Ellie?" "I think she's desperate enough to try anything." Frank was quiet for a moment. "I'll make some calls. Got a few buddies who do private security. We'll keep an eye on things." And Sunday brought a new development. Jennifer called me at 8 a.m., practically vibrating with excitement. "Turn on Channel 7, she said. The morning business report. I found the channel just in time to see a story about workplace affairs and their impact on company culture. The reporter was interviewing various HR professionals about policies and consequences. And in some cases, the reporter was saying, these relationships can create liability issues for employers, as we've seen recently with the Innovate Now scandal involving 2 terminated employees. The story didn't name Clara and Christopher directly, but it showed file footage of the Innovate Now building and mentioned a married pair of employees whose extramarital affair led to their dismissal. "How did you manage this?" I asked Jennifer. "I know people who know people. The business community is smaller than you think, and everyone loves a good scandal." "This is going to make them even more desperate." "Good. Desperate people make mistakes." She was right, but I was starting to worry about what kind of mistakes Clara might make. I didn't have to wait long to find out. Monday afternoon, I got a call from Ellie's school. "Mr. Foster, this is Principal Williams. We had an incident today involving your daughter and your wife." My heart stopped. "What kind of incident?" "Mrs. Foster came to the school around lunchtime, claiming she needed to pick up Ellie for a doctor's appointment. When we asked for documentation, she became agitated." "Is Ellie okay?" "Ellie's fine. She's actually the one who alerted us that something was wrong. She told us she didn't have any doctor's appointment and asked us to call you." Smart girl. "What happened to Clara?" "She left when we threatened to call security. But Mr. Foster, I think you should know she seemed very upset. Unstable, even. I thanked Principal Williams and immediately called Frank. She tried to take Ellie from school, I reported. Shit, that's kidnapping. Not if she's still legally the mother. Maybe not, but it's close enough. You need to file for emergency custody. Can I do that? With the evidence you have of her planning to frame you? Hell yes. I'll call my lawyer buddy. We'll get the paperwork started today. But before I could file anything, Clara made her biggest mistake yet. Tuesday evening, I was helping Ellie with her homework when someone started pounding on the front door. Not knocking, pounding, like they were trying to break it down. Stay here, I told Ellie, and went to see who it was. Clara stood on my porch, and she looked like hell. Her hair was unwashed, her clothes were stained, and her eyes had a wild look that scared me. I want to see my daughter, she said when I opened the door. She's doing homework. I don't care. She's my daughter, and I have rights. You have rights, but you don't have the right to terrify her. Terrify her? Clara's voice rose to a shriek. I'm her mother. You're the one who's turning her against me. I haven't said a word against you to Ellie. She figured out what kind of person you are all by herself. Clara tried to push past me into the house. I blocked her, and she started hitting me, not hard, but frantically, like a trapped animal. Let me see her. Let me see my daughter. Dad? Ellie's voice came from behind me. What's going on? Clara saw her and immediately switched tactics, her voice becoming pleading and desperate. Ellie, baby, I've missed you so much. Come with me. We'll go to Aunt Linda's house, and I'll explain everything. I don't want to go anywhere with you, Ellie said quietly. Clara's face twisted with pain and rage. He's poisoned you against me. Your own father has turned you into a liar. I'm not lying, Mom. And Dad didn't turn me against you. You did that yourself? The words hit Clara like physical blows. She staggered backward, staring at Ellie with a mixture of heartbreak and fury. You'll regret this, she said, looking at me. Both of you will regret this. She stormed off to her car, tires squealing as she drove away. Dad, Ellie said, her voice shaking. I'm scared. I pulled her into a hug, feeling her trembling against me. It's going to be okay, sweetheart. I won't let her hurt you. But even as I said it, I wondered if I could keep that promise. Clara was spiraling out of control, and desperate people were capable of anything. I called Jennifer to report the incident. That's it, she said. No more games. Tomorrow, we end this. What do you mean? I mean, it's time for the nuclear option. I've been saving the best evidence for last, and tomorrow everyone's going to see exactly what kind of people Clara and Christopher really are. What evidence? You'll see. But Nathan? After tomorrow, this will all be over, one way or another. I hoped she was right, because I wasn't sure how much more of this war any of us could take. Wednesday morning dawned gray and cold, with the kind of bitter wind that cuts through your jacket and chills you to the bone. It felt appropriate for what Jennifer had planned. Today's the day, she announced when she arrived at my house at 7 a.m., carrying a laptop bag and wearing the expression of someone about to enjoy themselves immensely. What exactly are we doing? We're giving Clara and Christopher a going-away party they'll never forget. Jennifer set up her laptop on my kitchen table and showed me what she'd been working on all night. It was a video compilation, a greatest hits collection of Clara and Christopher's affair, set to music and edited with professional polish. Jesus, Jennifer. Wait, it gets better. The video included not just their messages and photos, but also interviews Jennifer had conducted with Christopher's previous affair partners, testimony from co-workers who'd witnessed inappropriate behavior, and financial records showing how much money they'd spent on their relationship. This is nuclear, I said. This is justice. And in about 3 hours, everyone they've ever known is going to see it. How? Jennifer's smile was radiant. Social media, email, text message, billboard on Highway 9. I've bought advertising space everywhere. By noon, this video will have more views than a cat falling off a treadmill. I stared at the screen, watching my wife's betrayal play out in high definition. Part of me felt sick. Another part felt vindicated. Are you sure about this? Nathan, they tried to destroy your life. Clara was planning to take your daughter and frame you for abuse. Christopher has done this to at least 3 other families. They're not victims, they're predators. She was right, but it still felt like overkill. What about collateral damage? Their families, friends? Should have thought about that before they decided to blow up 2 marriages. At 9 a.m., Jennifer launched her campaign. Within minutes, my phone started buzzing with calls and texts from people who'd seen the video. The first call was from Monica, Clara's best friend. Nathan, what the hell is this video? Please tell me this is some kind of sick joke. It's not a joke, Monica. But the things Clara said about you, about Ellie, she wouldn't really plan to frame you, would she? Ask her. Monica hung up without another word. The calls kept coming. Friends, neighbors, co-workers, people I hadn't spoken to in years. Everyone had seen the video, and everyone had opinions. Most of them were supportive, but a few were critical. This is too much, Nathan, said my neighbor, Mrs. Patterson. Clara made mistakes, but publicly humiliating her like this? It's cruel. So is planning to frame someone for abuse. Two wrongs don't make a right. I was getting tired of that phrase. By 10 a.m., the video had been shared over 1,000 times. By 11, it was trending on local social media. By noon, it had gone viral. That's when Clara called. You bastard, she screamed into the phone. You sick, vindictive bastard. Hello, Clara. How could you do this to me? How could you destroy me like this? I didn't destroy anything. I just showed people who you really are. I'm going to sue you. I'm going to take everything you have. With what money? With what lawyer? Clara, you're unemployed and unemployable. No one's going to hire you after this, and no lawyer's going to take your case without payment up front. The line went quiet, except for her sobbing. Nathan, please. I know I hurt you, but this is too much. People are calling me horrible names. My family won't speak to me. I can't even leave my sister's house without people recognizing me. For a moment, I almost felt sorry for her. Then I remembered Ellie's terrified face when Clara tried to force her way into our house. You made your choice, Clara. Now you get to live with it. What about Ellie? She's going to see this. She's going to know everything. Ellie already knows everything. She's not stupid and she's not blind. She saw what you were doing to our family long before I did. I want to see her. I want to explain. No, she's my daughter. Then you should have acted like her mother instead of acting like a selfish teenager. I hung up and immediately called my lawyer to expedite the emergency custody filing. The afternoon brought even more chaos. Christopher, apparently, had not taken the video well either. According to Jennifer, he'd shown up at his old office building, demanding to speak to his former boss, and had to be escorted out by security. He's completely lost it, Jennifer reported over the phone, screaming about lawsuits and conspiracies. His mother called me to ask what was wrong with him. What did you tell her? The truth, that her son is a serial cheater who destroys families for fun. How did she take that? About as well as you'd expect. She hung up on me. But the real fireworks came that evening. I was making dinner for Ellie and myself when I heard cars in the driveway. Multiple cars, with doors slamming and voices raised. I looked out the window and saw Clara's car, along with a vehicle I didn't recognize. Clara got out of the passenger seat, followed by a man I'd never seen before. Big, angry-looking, with the kind of swagger that suggested he was used to intimidating people. Who's that? Ellie asked, peering over my shoulder. I don't know, but I want you to go to your room and lock the door. Dad? Now, Ellie, and call 911 if things get loud. She nodded and disappeared upstairs. I heard her door close and lock. The pounding on my front door started immediately. Open up, Foster. The voice was male, gravelly, unfamiliar. We need to talk. I called 911 first, then opened the door with the chain still attached. Clara stood on my porch with a big man and another guy who looked like his smaller, meaner brother. Let us in, Clara demanded. No, get off my property. This is my house, too. Not anymore. I filed for divorce this morning, along with a restraining order. The big man stepped forward. You think you're real smart, don't you, pal? Humiliating a woman like that? I think you should leave before the police get here. Police? Clara laughed, but it sounded hysterical. You called the police on me? On your own wife? Ex-wife. And yes, I called them. You're trespassing. The big man put his hand on the door. Maybe we should come in and discuss this like men. Maybe you should get your hand off my door before I break it. I don't know where that came from. The old Nathan would never have threatened anyone. But the old Nathan had never had his life systematically destroyed by the person he loved most. The big man grinned like I'd just made his day. You want to try that, little man? Before I could answer, police sirens wailed in the distance, getting closer. Shit, the smaller man said. We should go. I'm not done here, the big man growled. Yes, you are, I said. Because if you're not gone in the next 30 seconds, you're going to be explaining to the police why you're threatening a man in his own home? Clara started crying again. Nathan, please. I just want to see Ellie. I just want to talk to my daughter. Your daughter is terrified of you. You tried to kidnap her from school, you vandalized my car, and now you're showing up with thugs to intimidate me? What kind of mother does that? The police cars turned onto my street, lights flashing. "This isn't over," the big man said. "Yeah, it is." The three of them retreated to their cars just as two police cruisers pulled into my driveway. I recognized Officer Martinez from the vandalism report. "Mr. Foster, we got a call about a disturbance." I explained the situation while the officers took notes and observed Clara's group from a distance. "You want to press charges for trespassing?" I looked at Clara, sitting in her car, crying into her hands. She looked broken, defeated, nothing like the confident woman I'd married 12 years ago. "No," I said. "Just make sure they leave and don't come back." Officer Martinez nodded and walked over to Clara's car. I couldn't hear the conversation, but after a few minutes, both cars drove away. "Sir?" Martinez came back to where I was standing. "We're going to patrol the area tonight, just in case, but if they come back, call us immediately." After the police left, Ellie came downstairs. "Is it over?" she asked. "I think so." "Good." I was getting tired of all the drama. That made me laugh, which felt good after the tension of the evening. "Dad, are you okay? Really okay?" I thought about it. For the first time in months, I wasn't angry or hurt or confused. I felt free. "Yeah, kiddo, I think I really am okay." The next morning brought the final chapter of our war. Jennifer called to report that Christopher had been arrested for drunk driving and disturbing the peace after showing up at his former boss's house at 2 a.m., demanding his job back. "He's in jail," she said cheerfully. "Bail's set at $5,000, which he doesn't have because I froze all our joint accounts." "What about Clara?" "Haven't heard from her since yesterday, but I did get a call from her sister Linda. Apparently Clara's not welcome there anymore either. Something about bringing dangerous men to a house with children. So Clara was homeless, unemployed, and alone. Christopher was in jail, professionally ruined, and facing divorce proceedings that would leave him with nothing. It should have felt like victory. Instead, it just felt like the end of something that had gone on too long. "Jennifer," I said, "I think we're done." "Done? But we could." "We're done. They're finished. Anything more would just be cruelty." Jennifer was quiet for a moment. "You're right. Besides, I have my own life to rebuild." That afternoon, I got one last call from Clara. "Nathan?" Her voice was small, defeated. "I'm leaving town, going to stay with my cousin in Oregon for a while." "Okay. I know you won't believe this, but I really did love you once. I know. And I love Ellie. I know I screwed up, but I do love her. Then prove it. Get help. Figure out who you want to be, and then maybe someday you can have a relationship with your daughter again." Do you think she'll ever forgive me?" I looked upstairs toward Ellie's room, where she was doing homework and listening to music, being a normal teenager for the first time in months. "She's your daughter, Clara. She's got your heart and your stubbornness. If you earn it, really earn it, she might forgive you someday." "Thank you." "For what?" "For not destroying me completely. You could have, but you didn't." After she hung up, I sat in my living room and thought about the past few weeks. Clara was right. I could have destroyed her completely. I could have made sure she never worked again, never had a relationship again, never found peace again. But I hadn't. Because somewhere under all the anger and hurt, I still remembered the woman I'd fallen in love with. She'd made terrible choices, but she was still Ellie's mother, and Ellie deserved the chance to have a relationship with her someday. That evening, Ellie and I ordered pizza and watched a movie, just the two of us. Normal father-daughter time, without the weight of secrets and lies hanging over us. "Dad," Ellie said during the credits, "are you going to be okay? I mean, really okay? What do you think?" She studied me with those perceptive eyes. "I think you're going to be better than okay. I think you're going to be happy." She was right. For the first time in months, maybe years, I felt like myself again. Not the man Clara had wanted me to be, not the victim of her betrayal, just me. "Yeah," I said, pulling my daughter close. "I think I'm going to be happy too." Outside, it started to rain, washing away the last remnants of the storm that had torn through our lives. Tomorrow would bring new challenges, new possibilities, new chances to build something better from the wreckage of what we'd lost. But tonight, it was enough to sit with my daughter, watching movies and eating pizza, knowing that we'd survived the worst thing that had ever happened to us, and that we'd come out stronger on the other side.